The Vapors disappeared on us.
See, we're here, and we don't know where Vapor is.
Vapor left.
Are we live in Vapor left?
We are live.
Look. We'll wait. All we gotta do is just stall for time, and then just we'll hope that Vapor just magically arrives here.
Oh my god.
This is
Yeah, I know. We're live. We're just seeing Vapor's camera just completely disappear right in front of our very eyes, and there he
at the
There's our host.
millisecond we go
Literally.
live. Vapor disappeared.
Vapor's gone.
Anyways, we are back now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Broadcasting Esports Every Play. Beep. I am Vapor. I'll be hosting tonight here for Splat Chat Episode 1. Here with me, Hammy, Remixed Fern, and Keone. So let's start things off first with your little background. It's been 10 years with Splatoon as an entire series. My goodness, it's been a while.
You know, it's kind of funny because I feel like these 10 years don't even feel like 10 years, Vapor. I don't remember when Splatoon 1 was released anymore. It's yes, it's 10 years, ignore that. But see, Vapor, you gotta understand here. I'm still living in the hope that global ink strikes are still really good in current time. That's the era I came from when I played ranked in the Wii U days. But yeah, that's as much as I went back. Then Splatoon 2 was here and there for the most part. And then I heard, and then Vapor. I hate to break it to you. Then when I returned back to Splatoon 2, everybody was just talking about the endless whales per days, and I became sad again. But yeah, that's my only memory. Is just remembering that global ink strikes exists as a special.
See, it's been a very fast 10 years for me because I never bought a Wii U. So I played Splatoon 2 for like 6 months and then just kind of showed back up when Splatoon 3 started. So I'm a baby. I've only been here for like 3 years.
It's really only been 3 years.
I don't know, something. When did Splatoon 3 come out? How long has this game been out?
Wait, has it really been 3 years?
Well, I've been on my current team for 2.5, so it's been more than 3.
Time's a myth. Sorry, Fern.
No, I mean, I never played Splatoon 1, so it's been like 4 years of comp for me.
Wait, am I the only one that played Splatoon 1 out of the bunch here? Out of you four?
I played Splatoon 1.
Wait, okay, Vapor, you gotta help me here. If you played Splatoon 1, what I must ask you this question: what's your favorite special?
Oh God, favorite special Splatoon 1. I would probably say Echo. Personally, I feel like Echolocator is probably my favorite, just because of the supportive factor.
Remember the time when Ink Zuka was a thing before they had to level it up to Tri-Zukas in these current days?
Yeah,
that was the Wild West.
Well, didn't they do that with strikes too? It was one big global strike.
Yeah.
Now it's 3 strikes. They just kept splitting everything up.
Mm-hmm. Just make it 3.
Everything's Where's my I'm
triple Kraken. I'm really excited for Splatoon 4 when we have quad Ink Zuka, we have quad Ink Strikes. You know, we're
hear me out, Hammy. Hear me out, Hammy. You got to take a Splatoon 2 special. Think about 4 bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
4 Ink armors.
There already are.
Ink. What they should have done with Splatoon 3 is just make it all 3v3, so everything is 3.
3v3v3. It's the game is forcing you to play like the tricolor where you have the 3 teams at all times, even in rank modes. The entire comp scene just collapses because now we have to run like 3v3v3s at all times for every single tournament, every single mode. Imagine 3v3v3 clamblets.
Oh my God!
Defending trying to push or defending clamblets in a 3-team scenario.
3v3v3 Splat zones.
Oh my! How would that work? How would that even work?
Isn't that just like isn't that like the tricolor turf war like that got put on Splatfest except just the zones variant?
Oh yeah, no, it
Like,
kind of would be.
internal best of threes in game.
No, no, that's too much best of threeception here, Vapor.
You can't even. Can you even do a best of 3 if you have 3 teams competing? Like, I think
You
'cause
do
would
like
need-
Apex.
I don't think it would be called a best of 3 because it's like first to 2. So it would be a 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be a best of 5. A best of 5 would be a team needs to win 2. I think. Is it? I don't know how the math would work out.
It would still just
It would be like a
2.
best of. It could be a best of 4 at most.
Oh god.
Wait,
God.
In like
No,
a
that's just-
first to 2 setting.
That's just gonna send me back to Overwatch. Thanks.
What's important is we don't have to worry about it because Nintendo didn't get any funny ideas after making the tricolor. They stopped
Yeah,
there.
sure.
They said, "Okay, that's enough. We've been silly enough. We'll let you guys keep playing like you have been in Splatoon 2."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Splatoon 2. That was also many years ago. We're going on 8 years, coming up in 2 months for Splatoon
Wow.
2 since that released, because that was sometime midsummer of 2017.
Has it really been 8 years? I'm just gonna run this through because literally okay, personal note. By the time Splatoon 2 came out, I'm like, okay, I should have enough time to try out the new mode. Like remember when Salmon Run was locked behind a specific time frame? You couldn't play Salmon Run for like
Oh
4 hours, 7 days a week, sort of thing. I was looking so forward to Splatoon 2, and then real life called and then wanted to, and then told me, hey, you might want to get back in the office. So I barely played Splatoon 2 for most.
You
of it.
know
I think
what?
I still play more Splatoon 1. Yeah.
The limited time frames on Salmon Run made me actually want to play it more because it's like the challenges in Splatoon 3. It's like, oh, it's a salmon rotation. I gotta get in there and play now. I don't even play Salmon Run in Splatoon 3 because it's not a commodity anymore. It's not like I need to do this while I can. I can always just play the game. So who really cares? And I just didn't play Salmon Run like ever.
I used to play a lot of Salmon Run during those limited times because it was just actually pretty exciting to play Salmon Run, and then me and my friends just got off of Salmon Run. I was like, yeah, we don't want to play. We ended up not returning back to the game for years afterwards. I need to ask you, Fern, did you even play Salmon Run?
I played more of it when I was a casual, to be honest. But like since I've been a comp player, like not very much at all. I'm a ranked player.
So you don't believe
That's
in fishing?
I do it. I used to hit like like the first bonus and then quit. Like when I used to play Salmon Run more often.
It's not that Fern doesn't believe in fishing. Fern doesn't believe in employment.
Right. No, I'm
A little too real there.
Just a little.
no, I'm not overfishing. I'm being sustainable. My Salmon Run gameplay.
The ecology of
the Salmon Run.
Salmon Run.
Were you actually holding back the entire time? Hang on, I'm gonna
Doing it
bank
for the
the salmon
environment.
eggs for a future run.
My goodness. A lot of fishing has happened in the past, definitely. And you know what else happened somewhat recently? And 2 of you actually were there.
Oh,
Momocon. Momocon just finished up, and overall, like, we do want to give our dedication to Splatoon. It's been 10 years, thank you, but going more towards the topic of looking over towards SendouQ Season 7, Momocon is an event that happened and is looking to have one of the teams in the SendouQ event to that has participated in Momocon. So, Hammy Kion, how did the event go from your opinion, as you were both there in person?
I'll defer to Hammy first, if you don't mind, because I can go on for forever here.
I mean, in terms of the actual competition, everyone kind of knows the story. I mean, Moonlight showed up to Momocon there wasn't much competition. People knew they were going to win. The only real story was, are they going to drop a single game the entire weekend? And they didn't. Ace of Spades, Go, Yogurt, a couple of other like pickups that had a chance at even just competing against Moonlight, just couldn't really end up taking that final step and getting those wins. So Moonlight they're playing hot. They didn't drop a single game. That is a really, really, really good position to be in, especially for your first LAN win and going into the SendouQ finals on the weekend. Like it's a good result to get a week before something big like SendouQ finals.
And I feel it's a goal to piggyback off of that, especially Hammy, is when you look at the list here, like there were a lot of teams that honestly could have competed with Moonlight, but I feel like Moonlight, the bigger story was, as you know, it was undefeated. Go ran the crazy run of a lifetime there. That's the free flow pickup that featured JJ and Parks, for example, for few. But then you saw like from the lower bracket side, Ace of Spades that featured Len as well, and then you had Yogurt. That's the ball of pickup. There they ran through some really, really tough competition throughout. But of course, Moonlight. Hey, we also got to saw the trophy and the medals that Moonlight actually got at the end, which they, by the way, posted in their social media as well. And those look pretty stylish. But yeah, I feel like a lot of teams that could have competed with Moonlight, I don't think Moonlight basically had the chance to run into them, or they already just dismantled them in winners brackets leading up to that point.
Real question, side topic. Moonlight did a Twitter poll to see who gets to bring home the trophy. Who won the Twitter poll?
Yeah,
do we know who won that?
Who
I
did
have no
win
idea.
that?
I'm not on Twitter.
I haven't used Twitter in months. I have to like find their.
All right.
Oh, Basil won with 33.8%, beating Omega by 0.5%.
Oh, my goodness.
Barely anybody voted for Nolan. Which I'll say, okay, Nolan is the only member who flew to Momocon. Rest in drove.
Wow,
So Shadow was actively vouching for people to not vote Nolan so that the trophy would actually make it to someone's house.
You know what? I at least applaud the fact that maybe we shouldn't bring the trophy in the actual luggage there. No, just take it home in a car. Also, just seeing the trophy there in person is especially when I was chatting with Raze at the end of the day was whoa, that looked pretty neat. They get to take home trophy for their troubles. It is actually.
All trophies that are at LAN events are always very nice. Like Riptide had some like a really nice like clear trophy plaque combination that just said like Splatoon 3 winners for Riptide whatever year it was, and it was just like, wow, why can't we have more of that?
You know what's funny is that I don't know if you guys saw that on stream when Austin was emceeing for the trophy presentation. They actually did have the clear plaques as well for Momocon. So I think they had. I think from the stage perspective, and I think a few of us will correct me here. I think they had the clear plaque. Then they also had the medals there for the winners, and they also got to take home a trophy. They got a lot of awards for the undefeated run here in Momocon as well. And I think with the other adjacent tournaments that were there at Momocon, they also got the same rewards there too. So yeah, Moonlight kind of took home a lot of swag, I like to say, from Momocon, just from winning the tournament. So they went all out.
Yeah. And outside of just Splatoon, like how was the event as a whole?
This is the one I get to explain because
because an hour vlog that you uploaded earlier today.
Thanks for the plug. Thanks for the selfish plug. 66-minute vlog already up on YouTube. But no, I mean I was there primarily not just for sports Splatoon. I had a lot of friends who were running the other departments there. I mean, if you went there, so if you go there versus like your typical LAN experience, Riptide and LTC, you were talking about almost 26 rows of merch, maybe 29. I don't even know the exact number. It's probably 28. They also had they also had panels as well. If you even care, if you cared about those, but they also had so much you could do over there, because when you go to Riptide and and LTC they also have the history wall there too. If you go to Riptide and LTC, by the way, you're pretty much there for Smash and Splatoon for the most part. So you're pretty much surrounded by this. They had everything. And Hammy, I think this was correct me if I'm wrong, this was your first ever big convention that you've ever been to?
We have like a local convention here. I'm very rural. So like we have it's like a sizable convention for the size of the city, but I've never been in a building this big, like at Momocon. Like if you went to the Splatoon section, which is in the back half of the room, you couldn't see the other wall. It's just that far that like you can't like see the wall. It's a long walk. And yeah, like Yoan said, there's like 30 rows of vendors. There's different panels. Since coming home from Momocon, I have heard double the amount of things about Momocon that happened, that I just like events that I didn't know were going on whatsoever. And like apparently there's a powerlifting competition there.
Right there, yep.
And I'm like,
it was actually one of the vendor rows.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of like every time you think you've like figured out most of the things at MomoCon, somebody's like, oh yeah, by the way, I just went to this thing last night, and you're like, what? Like what? Why is this here? Like what is like? And on top of that too, Atlanta was just busy that weekend. There was like a international robotics competition in the same building. There were multiple concerts, one in the street next to it, and then other ones like nearby the same night as the rave. There were like multiple parades happening. Like I very overwhelming for somebody from like a rural area.
That's also again the fact that is that there were also 2 Atlanta sports games, so traffic was even more crazier than before in Atlanta. So like it was crowded, and being that this was for full disclaimer, I knew what I was going into because this was my 4th ever Momocon. In the past, last year when they announced the Splatoon tournament, I was like, y'all, you do realize that I'm also going over there too. So I guess I had to support you guys the minute I arrived. That's almost a near given. Last year, so this year, I mean, it was huge. The building, you never felt cramped, and you couldn't tell because the building looked huge. It was like 55,000 attendees going out to MomoCon. It just did not look cramped at all. Like it was very spacious. The only thing that quote unquote sucks is be ready to do a lot of walking. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, like every single time I just watch something related to MomoCon, like I remember watching last year's vlog that you made, Keon, and you said it was like a 22-minute walk to the Splatoon hall from your room.
Yeah, so I was staying at a hotel like far east of the rail line at the time. I was with 3 other friends as well, who do not even know that there was a Splatoon tournament. Like we were all just going over there. From the room to walk over to the venue, because it was building B, look it up for the map for GWCC. They basically from my hotel over to the actual Splatoon hall was definitely around 22 minutes. You basically need to have the best kind of legs to basically be able to walk that far. And if you happen to stay at the venue, it's still an even further walk. I actually timed, in both versions of the vlog, I timed from the stairs entrance all the way down to the entrance, because it was basically the same entrance as before. It was around 6 minutes to get from point A to point B. So yeah, it was pretty extensive. You were walking for a while, but it was a great workout. I was not complaining at all, and it was I'd still do the trip if it all worked out in the end.
And to go off that too, that's 6 minutes to get in. That's 6 minutes of walking to. That's 6 minutes of walking to get ready for a day of walking. That's
and I was staying at a hotel this year that was like right next to the rail line, and that was already 10 or 15 minutes just to walk from there to there anyway. So it's like, well, at least I got the best shoes I could ask for this kind of walk. I
wore Crocs.
You wear Crocs?
I wore Crocs the entire weekend. It's the only pair of shoes I brought.
Was that the same Crocs you had everyone sign?
Yeah, I brought a single pair of Crocs with me, and then got every Splatoon player to sign them. And then It was worth it. It was awesome, but like my feet were. I wore sneakers when I got home because I had to go to work the next day, and it was like a heavenly experience. As much as I love Crocs, like there's my Crocs from Momocon. I got as many Splatoon players as I could to sign them. I only got like half the attendees. There was like 80 people. It was so hard to find like everyone because there were people who I knew specifically didn't sign them, but I just couldn't find them throughout the weekend because there's so much happening. It's a hectic weekend for sure.
I applaud you for only bringing Crocs to the event. I didn't realize you did. I'm like, oh, you made the rookie mistake of wearing uncomfortable shoes. Leads me to a see, because a story before. Excuse me, I'm having a snack in between. Was a couple years ago, I brought the worst walking shoes, and it actually, figuratively speaking, not literally, it messed up both my legs throughout the entire weekend. So I had to actually walk at a snail's pace, like kind of just, a little bit of scooting over and over just to get my legs back into shape. It was ever since then I'm like, okay, I need a pair of running shoes, and that just kept me going for a long while. It was awesome.
It sounds like just a general amazing event. Like conventions in general are just fun to go to. Like I've been to Riptide. Yeah, it's not on the same scale as like definitely not by miles for sure. But you'd have to look at something else like Mag West or Mag Fest in general to be a somewhat comparable experience.
You know what's funny, Vapor, is you literally brought up Riptide and there as well. Like, for my history is I've done 40 conventions at this point. That also includes the lands, at least. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a lot of mileage there. Riptide feels small in comparison. That just gives you the scale of how much, like, the types of events I go to. Like MagFest, Momocon are all really unique convention experience. Of course, if you've been to MagFest, you will know the stories of the wireless Splatoon tournament, but that's for another story. No, that story can always be best summed up by Rose. Just Rose will tell you, always say that story. But no, like the convention is such a very different experience compared to your typical Smash or Splatoon land. Like Riptide again feels really small in comparison, but it has a different vibe to it.
And to keep things moving on, so there have been other events other than just Momocon that has happened recently. But going a little bit further back, we have 4v4 Sundays that ended up going on. And Fern, I know you did a lot of research on just general teams that have made these the top four SendouQ, and some of them has participated in this event.
Yeah, so the big names from 4v4 Sundays on a Saturday are Metro, which is a pickup of Zenith, Yoshell, Goss, and Atomic, and then Vanguard, the French super team. This is the major win Metro has, like, coming into the SendouQ finale, is 4v4 Sundays, including 3-1, 3-1 wins over Vanguard. So for them, it is kind of their major result. Like, this has been one of their really only like 2 chances to prove themselves recently against contender teams in the SendouQ finale, and kind of the best one so far. They looked very strong on the comp they have traditionally run with Atomic on roller, Splatoon 2 callback. But yeah, for Vanguard, it was a little bit more disappointing. Again, they lost 1-3, 1-3, but they also took down Hypernova plus Splat as a 5th in that tournament. So they are also looking pretty solid as well, taking down contender teams in 4v4 Sundays. So definitely one of the more, like, it could be telling for how those matchups might play out in the SendouQ finale. They also could go either way. Like, Vanguard has beaten other really high-level teams, but they've also lost other really high-level teams, and same with Metro. So, but that was definitely, like, one of the more recent semi-stacked tournaments to look at.
and another team that also made the SendouQ finals in 4v4 Sundays on the Saturday, placing at 7th was Healthy Diet Food Groups. They ended up losing to Close One, which is a team of Kit Kat, Acer, Pulley, and Fantar, which that team has only really lost to that Hypernova team and Metro as the only two other teams that Close One lost to after they beat Healthy Diet Food Groups.
Right.
It's actually kind of fascinating too to see Healthy Diet Food Groups, because it's always like a team I would dare say to be like one of the more consistent top teams in the Splatoon landscape for a while. Like you kind of see them in not just SendouQ but also in other big tournaments, and they've always produced some really good results at the end. So it's always fun to see that team still do very well.
Yeah. Healthy Diet Food Groups is a team that I also respect them for how much content they put out. It seems like they are a team that is very focused on like collaboration and education. And they're very the players that I've seen interact a lot are very just blunt about a lot of things, which I think is good. They're not sugarcoating anything. They're really just like, we are here to improve. We want to get better, and we're going to show you guys that progress. So yeah, long-lasting team that I have a lot of respect for sure. From Healthy Diet Food Groups. Also, another thing with 4v4 Sundays is very unfortunate is Parasail, who is also in the SendouQ finals this weekend, did play in it, but didn't play any matches against any other teams that are placing in the SendouQ finals. They only played against 4 teams. None of them are finalists, and they ended up in 9th overall. So not a very telling tournament from Parasail for information for the future.
What's funny is that go ahead, Fern.
Yeah, I think Parasail finishing 9th to 12th, they have shown promise at beating like high to top level pickups. They have recent like 2 Game 5 wins against Grape, Dylan, Luna, Len, which is maybe a team. But this 4v4 Sundays could also be telling of, in a sort of roundabout way, of how they will perform, and that they're certainly able to contend with these high level teams. Like, that's not a bad result by any metric. It's like top 16 in a top level tournament. But I think that might be telling that they are not at the level of really placing very highly in these super top level stacked events.
Yeah.
But if they have a chance to play against the top teams, we might see something different.
I feel like you could make it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, because I know we look at the results here for Parasail, and you'll note too is like, okay, well they're not ready to contend yet. I also go on the record, it could also just be any given like tournament weekend there as well. They could be one of the bigger surprises coming into SendouQ, but look at the results on paper. It's still a huge unknown. We haven't seen them quite compete with the other teams that will be seen on Saturday. But I think that's going to be something that we probably should keep eyes on, especially with how cautious, especially with this upcoming weekend. There, it's been like 2 weekends already that 4v4 Sundays has been ran. So anything can change.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, going off of Fern's point, that's the reality of tournaments like the SendouQ finals, is that not all 12 teams that get invited are going to be at the same caliber. You're going to have a couple of teams who are, a cut above the rest, because unfortunately, we don't have a large selection of teams that are all at the top, competing against each other kind of for that top spot. It's not as close of a competition we like to see. But going off of Kyoan's point, eventually these teams that are at that cusp are going to break through. And so every single time they play the game, it's a chance to finally break through. And the best storyline possible, the most hype moment possible, is if the SendouQ finale is when they finally break through. It's when they get that Game 5 win against a higher level team. It's when they figure out how to actually get the W, get further ahead, and then everyone goes like, wait, hold up, who are these guys?
Mm-hmm. And I definitely think Parasail is one of those teams that joins healthy diet food groups in its own category. They're always right there at like one tier or a second behind those top other teams. They're always those bridesmaids to those winners. They can compete. They're always very close, but they just can't beat the allegations so far.
Several teams fit that bill already, which I'm pretty sure we'll end up talking about down the road. But I mean, if Parasail is able to keep that up, that's gonna be the important thing. I feel like every team's gonna have a different mentality leaning into Saturday.
Oh, definitely. And with another event that happened somewhat recently as well, Barnacle Bash number 6 definitely came out of nowhere to me, just on my radar in general. But it showed up to be a pretty stacked event.
So that's crazy because I think before we even like went on the air, it's like it's always the discussion of what kind of tournaments are we dealing with here. But then you look at the teams that have participated in Barnacle Bash, especially with the results. I mean, you're gonna see basically teams that are competing in on Saturday. The Snail icon, obviously aptly named Snails, has participated. You saw Vanguard as well. I still love one of the team names there. The third place he was Ticklebutt, which is basically 3/4 of Hypernova, and just a few other names on this list and some other mainstays, some other players that are sticking around. It's like wait, this tournament suddenly got all the top players. What the heck happened here? But I mean, you kind of see Snail and Vanguard again consistently in those top slots.
Mm-hmm. And we were also talking a little bit prior to this episode as well, where we were talking about how much gray actually matters in events with some other teams. Gray with Snails did end up winning this event overall. But looking at other contenders, Vanguard, I'd also consider to be one of those bridesmaid teams. They ended up beating that Snail roster when they first faced, but ended up losing to them in the grand finals bracket reset.
Right. And I think for me, this is a Barnacle Bash was sort of a showcase of Gray's team's just ability. I mean, they did take a loss to Vanguard in a game 5, but they also beat them twice in that tournament. It's not when the Gray pick up, they've shown cracks, they have a loss here and there, but nobody has been able to beat them consistently. Is I think when the big thing looking forward is that they have shown that no one has an edge over them, or at least a clear edge. I mean, in that Barnacle Bash alone, they won against Vanguard twice. They won against the pickup you cited, which is basically half of Hypernova, and then a player from Metro twice also. So they are clearly they are an extremely high caliber team. And Barnacle Bash, I believe they came from the losers bracket in that tournament as well. So like they can handle the pressure for tournaments with money prizes as well. So that's another, like, being able to bracket reset in grands is a big that's going to be like at their edge if they can handle pressure like that moving into this tournament, which is very high pressure. That's going to be a big plus for them going forward.
Yeah, and I like you bring up the pressure of the scenario, because that's ultimately what's going to go down here. Is, we can see that Snails, because we talk about Gray specifically as a player, but looking at that whole roster, it's possible to beat them. It's happened. Like we just said, Vanguard beat them in winners bracket finals of Barnacle Bash 6. But when it mattered, when it came to the grand finals, Snails got the bracket reset, they got the win, and that seems to be what consistently happens for someone like Gray. They keep getting the win of the tournament overall. At the end of the day, that is the result you're looking for. You're looking for first place, and that's what keeps happening because when it matters, they are able to lock in. So on the day of, when you have this stacked tournament like SendouQ Finals, who is going to be the one to close it out? Who's going to be the one to show up when it matters and not drop those games?
Yeah, and even just looking at the game sets on its own, in the winners finals, Vanguard got a tight game 5 win in these best of 5s. Then grand finals, Snails gets a tight game 5 win before getting a game 4 win in the bracket reset. So these teams are definitely very neck and neck with each other. Just looking at the general bracket and even looking at this gameplay here. Thank you to our producer CKK for pulling up these VODs and everything. But they're always right there. They're playing those fast pick and reset games.
It's actually kind of interesting because anytime I've seen double elimination tournaments, especially ones that goes like all 5s, is how does the team that win carry that momentum forward, especially in a game where okay, everything's kind of sinking in. We played a lot of tough matchups. Can we still stay focused? And then if we talk Vanguard 3-2, tournament's already over. Vanguard would be celebrating a dub, but Snail's able to rebound nicely in those double elimination situations was really, really important. And Gray isn't any stranger to these intense situations. In fact, Gray, I believe, also won with PXG in season 6's finale. So I feel like there's a lot of stories you can build off of, especially can Gray do it again, and can Gray live up to the high pressure situations once more. I feel like this upcoming weekend will tell the story.
Definitely. And speaking of Gray as well, Gray is the only individual player that has participated in every season finale for SendouQ.
That's crazy that's crazy the more you think about it, because I mean, going back all the way back to season 1. Season 1 had all the big name teams everybody would know, like Starburst and FT Win, among others, and then you just fast forward to now, and if Gray still continues to be is still providing that consistency, that just shows you the level of how the level that Gray's at each season.
Yeah, just going through the teams that Gray has played on throughout every season. Season 1, Gray played with Alliance Rogue, ended up in 5th. Season 2, they played with Grogro, ended up in 7th. Season 3, 4th with Rogue. Season 4, 2nd with Green Star, with Zenith, Atomic, and Yoshell, who are also in this event. Season 5, they also got 2nd as well. Season 6, they got 1st with PXG. So Gray is coming off of a season victory here.
And it's funny because I feel like the post that I saw from Blue Sky after covering season 6's finale was, can Gray get off the schneid, and can they defeat FT Win in a high pressure situation? And I still vividly remember that season 6 finale. That one went all 7, by the way, and it was like, all right, Gray, are you able to hang up a SendouQ season finale trophy after 6 attempts? And look at where Gray's at now. Like, it was almost a reverse sweep situation there too, where FT1 was like, oh no, FT1 could actually pull off the reverse sweep. Then they just clamped everything down to the last 15 seconds in PXG's favor. And that PXG, by the way, had Xeris and Bran and as well to round out the two. You're going to see Gray and Noah on the same team with Snails in this upcoming season finale. So I mean, that was one of the many that is Gray's, like, if I'm not mistaken, favorite from the standings. You mentioned as well, like, that was Gray's first actual finale win, which is huge, especially. But now it's tough to repeat now, especially with teams getting better. Are you able to repeat the same way?
Yeah, and 2 of the other members on PXG are also playing in this event on separate teams as well. I am pretty sure. I want to double check myself. Yes,
Brand for sure.
Yeah, we have Bran playing formerly of Starburst playing with Milky Way this time around. Noah playing with Snails. So some those winners are going to try to fight for that top spot against each other.
And I feel like especially with the 10 confirmed teams, implicitly I think we know the 11th. It's Moonlight, which should be confirming their slots here soon. I look at the 10 teams that we have, and again, we're waiting for the mysterious 12 teams. I think we kind of have an idea on who that 12th team is going to be. But if we look at the teams that we have right now, this is a very you've heard it especially in the Splatoon landscape in Blue Sky. Very stacked lineup. You get to see Metro back once again. Metro did not I had to look up if Metro participated in the last SendouQ season finale. They did not. So there you go. You have Vanguards here. Hypernova making their appearance. Milky Way, a lot of very familiar names here. But FT Win, Snails back here again. Healthy Dive Food Groups, which by the way was the Cinderella team in theory. People are gonna correct me on that one because they actually cut it to top 4 with a double-digit seeding, if I'm not mistaken, from season 6. So they're back again, and Camden's back here as well. So it's a really strong lineup of teams, and I feel like there's a lot of ways to go. Of course, Moonlight, not the team that didn't qualify for top 4 in season 6's finale. They're looking to see if they can make it back, and I feel there's so many things to read off of the current teams that we have here so far.
Yeah, and another really interesting stat drop as well for y'all. With the assumption that Moonlight does accept the spot, of course, because as of this is happening, Moonlight is not on the actual bracket. But with the assumption from what Chara has posted as the Moonlight coach, Moonlight this would be their 6th appearance as a team in the SendouQ finale. 5 out of 6 so far. This would be 6 out of 7.
What was the one that they didn't participate in? I'm trying to actually remember that one. But even then, that's still a high number of appearances, especially with a team that's stuck around for a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through my notes here, and it looks like they did not participate in season 5.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you do forget how long Moonlight has been a team.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing, they have played in 6 SendouQ finales, and they have not won one, to my knowledge. So, that's another thing for them is, are they going to prove in this tournament that they are a true major contending team? And I think only time is going to tell on that. You can't make any true predictions. They've looked really, really hot in Momocon. They've been playing extremely clean, extremely consistently. They didn't drop a game in probably one of the most stacked regions for lands in the US. So they've been looking really good, but only time will tell if it's enough to win an event just truly as insanely lined with top players as this one is.
And not only did they just win Momocon, they've been playing hot, but honestly, they have the social buff. I did hang out with a couple members of Moonlight at Momocon, and I think morale is high. They came before the event to hang out. They stayed late to hang out. They are doing stuff outside of playing, and I think that they're going to help build up some of that cohesion. And I think that they're a team that can rely on each other because they have been together for so long that they do, as much as Splatoon right now is in a spot where the emphasis is not on teams, the emphasis is on the individual and making a strong pickup, because 4 individual players is realistically going to beat out any long-lasting team. There is still something to be said about the benefits of being a team. And I think that Moonlight, out of any of these teams, is going to have the biggest emphasis on that, because they've played together the most consistently. Because the other teams we have here, for the most part, are still basically pickups. You look at FT Win, it's a team, but do they really play as a team, or is it more just 4 players who we kind of know and love?
Recently, they have been.
They are a team on Sunday.
Yeah, they have been playing together, but like it's more common you'll see them playing as an individual rather than playing as FT Win in a lot of these events versus Moonlight, who I can't think of a lot of times I've seen the players of Moonlight playing in pickups in events versus just playing as a roster. And sure, there are other teams here that play together a lot. Like you look at Healthy Diet Food Groups, like they're a well-established team, but Moonlight is definitely on a little bit of a further run in this weekend. I'm assuming at least.
And just looking at the past season as well, that was Moonlight's worst appearance in the SendouQ season finale. They ended up 7th overall, tied for 7th with Crispy. So they and with other teams that participated that ended up on the finalized bracket above them, we're talking about Caden, Vanguard, Healthy Diet Food Groups ended in a tie for 3rd. And then you have PXG and FT Win, with FT Win being another returning team.
Something I want to chime in here real quick is you talked about the Healthy Diet Food Groups. They were on a heater basically in that previous season finale. Right. It was watching it in real time from round 1. You're like, okay, you look at this, you're probably thinking, okay, probably PXG, probably then a toss up like Moonlight can as well. But then Healthy Diet Food Groups, but it came out of nowhere. You saw the round 1 result. It went to 5. They got the dub there. Then Vacation, another game 5 dub. Of course, PXG had other ideas in that round 3, but then they just kept on rolling, and then they finally met their match against FT Win. But it was kind of a testament to how good this team really was, and I'm glad that my memory was still definitely correct, because that was a double-digit seed at the number 10 spot there as well, and that was kind of one of the bigger surprises as well. People would probably be talking about, again, you would be talking like Moonlight, Camden as well from that group, and no, it was Healthy Diet Food Groups, and yeah, they were on a roll that tournament, and it's part of the reason why I mentioned that whatever happens on that Saturday is what we're gonna see. Like, we can look at all the results and okay, we can get a read on how they played that particular weekend, but you come in this Saturday, whole different ball game. Now you got if the format is just as similar, best of 5 groups, only top 2 qualifies. It makes the stakes much more higher. I'd expect most teams to try to prepare mentally for those.
Well, and that's that double-edged sword, because again, looking at that bracket, sure, we have I think it was number 1 seed, number 2 seed, number 5, and number 10 going in there. So Healthy Diet Food Group's definitely getting the upset, but they also got swept once they made it to that top cut. The other semi-finals was a 5-2, a 3-2, a game 5, but Healthy Diet Food Groups ended up getting beaten, fairly harshly in that first round. But again, the fact that they qualified is like they still came 4th, like they still came top 4, which is insane. But it's, do they have the caliber to win? And are they at that point where they're going to be able to do that again? Can they repeat that upset? Can they show us that that's not an upset? That's just the state of the team.
Exactly. Yeah. One other thing that just came up in that was just how punishing this tournament format is. I mean, it's 6 team groups, 2 of them make it out. It's 5 rounds of BO5 Swiss into a just top 4 single elimination bracket. It is a marathon and not a sprint, and you have to be almost perfect or else you will not make it out of groups. And that's, I think, going to be a big challenge for some teams in a tournament as stacked as this, is that you don't just have to get 1 or 2 wins against really high and top level teams. You have to get 4 or 5. And some teams might be able to get an upset here, an upset there, but HDFG, I mean, they certainly have had some really good upsets in the past. But it sort of comes down, can they do it consistently, and can they do it under just a lot of pressure is what they'll have to face in this tournament.
I mean, you bring up the point here. Since season 3's finale, the tournament format has always been best of 5 groups. You have two groups. You're gonna play everybody in the group anyway. So it just comes out to where do you place it from those results, and then top 4, you go best of 5 in your top 4 matchup, and then finals is best of 7 if it, once it continues first to 4, so it's like it's gonna be a long slog. It's not your typical double elimination tournament. So we talked about Gray earlier. You know, the player to look out for these double elims. Well, you're not gonna get double elims. You're gonna have to repeat your same performance from season 6 with Noah and of course your two other pals in Snails. So it's a lot of there's honestly a lot of ways that this can go there, and part of me has a lot of belief that a couple of these teams can go really far, but it is honestly going to be where do they stand mentally come Saturday, and just make sure your prep game is on point.
Yeah.
If your mental game is not good the day of, you are screwed. There is no pushover games. There is no like, oh, we lost game 1, but now we get an easier opponent. No, the easiest opponent you're gonna play is still a top level team. There's no breaks. It's just go, beat 5 other high level teams or die, and that's essentially it. There's no like way to really beat around the bush. So it's you get one chance. You get one day where you have to be at the top of your game, or else you just get left in the dust.
And a few of those teams as well, especially the newer ones, we have two brand new teams at the bottom coming in. Yes, Hypernova just created their own team together officially, but they've also been playing with each other for a long time. I'm looking at Paracel and Artifice. They are the rookie teams heading into this. Yes, 3 members of Paracel does have a SendouQ final experience, but the Lemon 27, they're a rookie for this team heading into SendouQ finals. Artifice as a whole team is a rookie heading into the SendouQ finals.
I mean, for the new teams now, you have to face about it in a different way. It's like, do you want to see where you stand, or do you feel like you belong? And hey, Healthy Diet Food Groups showed it last time, even though they've been as long as they have. But I mean, Parasail. I mean, a lot of people will recognize Hypernova's group. You have Synapse and Henlo and Datkid and Lexi, which they've played together for a long time. And then Artifice. I actually have to take a quick glance. I think this is the first go around, as you mentioned. So that's going to be the wild card for the group that eventually draws Artifice. And then, I mean, for Parasol, we talked about it before. Is do you have that run? Can you defeat some of the best? And again, any given Saturday at that point.
Yeah, and here's another quick fun fact for Artifice. Looking at over at Fox, they are more than likely going to play that more anchorish role. They do play Pencil. They do have a Pocket Splash that I've seen them play. But this is the first CCA grown player to ever appear in the SendouQ finals.
Yeah, I mean, if you just let me talk.
By CCA grown, I mean their first events were with the CCA.
Right. If you'll just let me talk about Artifice for a bit. I mean, I might not be impartial. I'm a former teammate of Fox, but I do think that he is an extremely talented player and like one of the best anchor prospects. Like on his way up into in my mind, like a pretty. He will be a pretty established high-level player. Artifice themselves, I understand that on paper they do not look like they are going to do well. Their recent results are like they're doing well in open weeklies. They have some solid sets. Like they've 3-1'd Sunny, Euler, Toby, Hosea, and Ali, the Lego Fortnite core. They've taken a Game 5 set against Grapey, Harshy, and J-Rod, and Kai, and Mocha. So they have managed to pull upsets, and I think this team has a lot of potential. I think Bounce is a very mechanically skilled player. Sam has been grinding for kind of years and years at this point, like his way up into high level. He is, I mean, a Splash 1 trick, a very good Splash 1 trick. Fox, I've already said, incredible backline prospect. I can see the potential for them to take upsets in this tournament. I think it is not unrealistic to say that they will get a win or two. It is by absolutely no means guaranteed. They are the definite rookies, the definite unproven team in this tournament. They could just have a bad day, crack under the pressure, and just get like 0-5. But I think they do have a lot of potential. And honestly, this storyline is kind of just that they are here in the first place, that they are a very new, like rising mid to high level team that just qualified for the SendouQ major in essentially their first season as like a contender team.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are here and going to be playing at the highest level of competition in one of the biggest tournaments we have is kind of a storyline in itself.
Yeah, I like that you bring up, them needing to fight for a win or two, and it's not even guaranteed, because if you look at, because you mentioned, like on paper, if you look at the actual SendouQ scores, like the power that gets you into this tournament, they ranked 11th out of the 12 with 1543 power. They got 5 power more than 13th place. They're one bad SendouQ match away from not making this final. Like they're cutting it pretty close. So their entire goal being here, especially as a team of all 4 rookies who are new to SendouQ finale, is to just get wins, get upsets. Any game they win is an upset. So they have to just farm results here. And I don't think that they're able to really aim for that top spot. I mean, all power to them. I want people to prove me wrong. Anytime I say anything about any top level stuff, I want to be wrong. I want them to pop off and win a lot of games, but I don't see it happening. But what I do, if we're looking at paper though, number 6, a team with a rookie here, Parasail, 3 members of Parasail, Cricket, Goose, and CJ, all having played once in SendouQ finale in different seasons. Lemon never having played, but they're the number 6 coming into this based on power at 1,590. And I have to go to bat for Lemon, old friend. We used to be on 2 rival Div 7 teams a couple seasons ago. And then they were on Black Ink Raiders later to become Hold W. They came second place in Div 7, but then they joined Ikaryoku, started popping off, winning Low Ink, joined Octopi, kept popping off, playing in Div 1, and then eventually, running Parasail now. And out of nowhere, they are just getting higher SendouQ powers than teams like Metro, teams that we know are at the top of level, Sure, Sendo power isn't everything, obviously. It's a mix of your tournaments and playing SendouQ. So maybe they've just been grinding SendouQ a lot. Maybe they've had some really good tournament results where there weren't as many high level teams. We have to go through their extensive history to figure it all out. But for a rookie team and a team full of players who have only made 1 appearance, that's a pretty good placement coming into the tournament.
Very much so.
And I imagine if you're a rookie team like Parasail and Artifice, which again you literally punch your way through to a top 12 spot. I feel like the discussion to be had is do you still try to aim for those upsets and then hope to God you can somehow take a win off of FT1, or do you just take each step progressively, one game at a time, and see, all right, are we able to compete? Or if we lose, or if we just end up flaming out 0-5, at least you learn from something like that. Because this is a tough tournament to play in.
Yeah, this is probably I would say one of the more stacked SendouQ events that we have had in the more recent term, especially season 6 as well, very strong. And with many other teams looking to return, it can only get stronger from there, on top of new teams arising and even new pickups looking to become projects into teams, trying to poke their way through.
I feel like each team and I imagine if you're brand new and you're making it through, you probably are trying to take every game one game at a time at that point. At that point, for Artifice, and Parasail, is like you could aim for the stars. If you get top 4, oh my goodness, that's like a huge boon. You gotta feel confident about that. But at the end of the day, would you feel disappointed at all? I wouldn't say no. You made it this far, but now you got to see how this. I feel like for most rookie teams is kind of where do you think you stand on the specific Saturday against some of the best. I feel like that's gonna be my read on Artifice and Parasail coming in. I would love a good underdog story, but for either of those two. But I feel like that's good. I feel like that's gonna be the thing we're gonna see is where do they stand at that moment in time.
Pretty much, but hey, we recap these teams. We've seen what these teams have done previously and how strong this event is actually going to be. But I think it is time here before this CKK, our producer, message all of us saying, who do you think is going to win? We haven't told each other, so let's all see it together. Bold predictions time, and well, they're just empty boxes.
Here's the question. Oh, it's all the same time. Oh,
Amy, you and I, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
All the same.
Wait. Okay, I'm gonna go on the record here. Weber and Fern kind of went with my those were already my small picks. Like out of the gate, FT1's consistency there, but then you also have Gray's team again. They're Gray and Noah are fighting for back to back. I feel like if you look at Metro, I know they probably haven't played as much, but they just won that 4v4 Sundays tournament, especially with this being a zones only tournament. We should add this specifically. It's a zones only tournament coming up. Metro could be the team to make so much noise. I think they will be your biggest surprises here.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that Metro is kind of the team that has the biggest potential to do something crazy and win the event. In my mind though, I think that Gray, you, Jordan, Yeti they have shown that they are consistently winning tournaments recently. Just looking at the names on this roster, it is a super team. I don't know. For me, their class is just a step above everyone else.
Well, what makes your prediction bold then, Fern? It's like that's almost like chalk.
That is. I think they're gonna win.
Wait. There's nothing bold about it. That feels like the most lukewarm, the coldest take of all time.
It might be lukewarm. I think it will be right though.
Yeah, that's what my thing is. On paper, yes, FT win and Snails, they're the two teams that are probably going to be the favorites going into this. They're the teams that are the most tenured, the ones that have huge results consistently, not only recently, but just throughout time. Like these teams have aged like a fine wine, and they're going to continue to just get better and better as they're already at the top of their game. But I'm looking at Metro. These players, they're nuts. I have so much respect for these players. They're because I have my copiums. I can look at this and go, you know what? Healthy Diet Food Groups is going to pop off. You know what? Parasail is going to pop off. But I don't even have to. I don't have to hope that Metro pops off. I know that Metro is going to pop off. I know that they are going to get those wins that people aren't expecting them to get. They're going to make some plays here. And assuming that the groups that are laid out are the way they are, I definitely see them getting into that top 4 for sure. Vanguard is a team that is, while they're at the top, they're inconsistent. Vanguard has had some bad placements, unlike again Snails and FT Win, who usually don't have those lower placements. So I see Metro just shooting straight past and getting into that scenario where they're contesting Snails and FT Win on the day of. And again, it's going to come down to the day, but I think Metro has what it takes.
That is so fair. I have a clear top 4 in mind, and of those 4, I think FT Win, just with their full experience in competitive, just with the amount of time they all have played this game together, I feel like this team, with the consistency at the top, pretty much in every single event that they play, they are usually, if not always, top 4. So FT Win, that is my pick to go straight to the top.
I I will go on the record though, Vapor. I do fully agree with you. It almost should be. It feels like for many it will be an expectation to see FT Win be in top 2, and I'm looking more from results from 3 months ago. Yes, the season 6 one where FT Win had to start off on a 9-0 streak, then drop. They lost to the Vanguard before we take them out. But you saw what happened in Grand Finals. That was just PXG just running with full momentum. So I would like a lot of people out there, fans of FT Win, and of course those who have stuck around, is like you should expect this team to be back in finals. I think you probably will be correct. I wouldn't be surprised if FT Win gets, I think, their 3rd title as FT Win in the season finale. But I mean, I still have my belief in Metro, especially with some of their more recent results, the team to pull it through. But I do agree with you. I think that might be your team that with the amount of consistency they have, they should win it all.
It would be FT Win's 2nd title.
Oh, 2nd even.
In the previous 3 events FT Win has played in, season 1 they got 3rd, season 2 they got 1st, season 6 they got 2nd, and this is under the team name FT Win, not any FT Win like pickup, of course, but under the team name FT Win, I think they're going to run for their 2nd title.
See, here's my thing. Vapor, you said that FT Win is looking to get the top 4 for sure. I agree with that. FT Win's gonna make top 4. That still means they can come in 4th place. You know, they'll FT Win, like getting to looking at these groups. FT Win, yeah, top 4, no problem. But honestly, like put me on the record. FT Win might take 4th place this weekend. Honestly, I think. Okay. Other teams are gonna have a good weekend, and I think that we're gonna see some mix-ups.
I agree that all of the teams that we chose here are going to end up top 4. If I don't see any of these 3 teams that we chose in top 4, I'm going to be surprised and look at that as a major upset over anyone.
So what you're saying is that Artifice is actually going to be the team that will break through in top 4.
Yeah, these 3 teams at Artifice, that's our top 4. Which I know that can't even happen though, because Artifice is in the same group theoretically, assuming the groups would change as FT Win.
I'm sure the groups are going to change. Again, this is just what we know so far. So I'm basing these should be your 4 expected teams. I'm sure my top 4 is going to change once the groups are finalized.
Right.
Yeah. This is all speculation at the end of the day. This is gonna be online forever, and then we're gonna get to when's the SendouQ final? Tomorrow, the day after, and we're gonna go, oh wow, all of this is incorrect because the groups are different, and we're also going on the assumption that the other 2 teams are gonna be Moonlight and Honkai, the 2 teams that haven't accepted their bids yet. And watch we're in the weird scenario where Moonlight just doesn't accept the bid, even though they've said they're going to do it, and then we just get a whole other team in here and it mixes everything up because now my predictions are off.
That's gonna happen. Yeah. You know what, Hammy.
How hard would Moonlight have to drop the ball for them to miss out in the SendouQ finals? Coming off of a LAN win, having all this growth, all of the back, they are America's sweetheart. They're everyone's favorite team to root for, and them to just go, oops, we forgot to sign up.
I really doubt that's going to happen, but I do have another team that I believe could make a major wave. I don't think they will win at all, but I think a major wave could be made by Milky Way. All of those members have shown to be very good at this game. Brand, Ice, Jared, .Q. They have all played on that top stage, and going against other members who might not have been on a literal Nintendo stage like all of them have, I do believe that they could end up sneaking into the top 4.
That's a fair point, because that's Milky Way. I mean, you know those are very familiar names with Brand, Ice, Jared, and .Q. But you look at the sender link and you see that they're seated, and you see that they're seated 9, and then everybody running the cartwheels around their brain. Probably you, Fern, as well. Is what are they doing in that What are they doing in that position? I feel like if you look further and further down, that's what we're gonna see. Go ahead.
I have no idea. I have to assume that the seed's just a bit. I don't know why they're like that. It might be off of Sendu power. They certainly are not the ninth best team in this tournament.
What,
I
you don't
mean,
think Milky Way is worse than Artifice?
unfortunately, I do think they might be a bit worse than Milky Way. No offense, but I'm sorry, Fox. But like, I mean, looking historically, like just at some of these players, Jared and Q have SendouQ major wins, or at least one, I think. Ice got first, third, and third in the first three SQ finales. Even recently, like they have second in the Zone 42. They have second Barnacle Bash. They've taken down HDFG. They've taken down Metro. They've taken down a pickup that is they somewhat recently took down a pickup that is basically Snails plus Keo. Like they are extremely high pedigree players. I think that's basically undeniable, even if they are unpracticed, is that they are extremely skilled players. Um, I I don't, but I still am not sure about. And like, I think you can't discount either them or Metro from just having a pop-off day and beating this stacked NA pickup, this stacked French pickup. Um, to some extent, like. I think whether the community wants Milky Way to win is a different question. Um, I don't know. They're certainly very good players. I think I personally I would rather see if I want to have a team have a breakout or like wild card of practice tournament, I'd rather it be Metro. But like they are certainly like undeniably extremely good players and they could make a run at this tournament, no doubt.
Yeah. Another team I also want to point out that could make a big splash is Hypernova. In their most recent events together, we're going back to Splat World Championship, where it is basically this exact same team. They have Splat in, but they have Splat in over Synapse, but it's still basically the exact same roster. This is basically Hypernova that played in Splatland Championships and got first overall. Looking over at Squid Junction 93 that happened on May 10th, they got first there as well before placing fourth on this most recent 4v4 Sundays on a Saturday on May 17th. Like, this team could definitely make a splash. They've shown themselves they have those results that can do it. Like going a little bit further back for Henlo in particular, second in Triton Cup 101.
Right.
That's,
I think
what?
one of my concerns with this team is they've only played with their complete roster 1 to 2 times. The second time they had a different fifth in the last 2 months. And like they've certainly most likely been practicing together, been scrimming in preparation for this event. But I just don't know about that level of like how much data we have going in to really judge whether or not they have the level to take down FT Win, Snails, Metro level teams consistently. I think they certainly have the ability to do it once or twice. Like they can win these sets, but I'm not sure if they have the consistency to be able to do it at the level, at the just volume that is required of you to be able to go really far in a SendouQ major. And they have recent losses to Vanguard, like teams that none of us predicted to win the event, that are still obviously really strong contenders. But I'm just not sure about their like realistic chances of winning. I think they are a very strong team and they're probably going to take really good sets in this tournament. But like in terms of being a winning team, I don't know that I'm confident in them.
And I also wanted to add on too, like I'm a Hypernova believer. like Synapse, Henlo, Opstapa, or like that kid and Lexi. Those are all good players. Those are players I like to watch. They are good players that I just enjoy. But if we are going off the predicted groups, they have to beat Snails, FT Win, and Milky Way in the same day if they want to go through this tournament. Like that's I fear for what they have to do. What like deities they have to summon in order to make that happen. Like that it is a tall order.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. I do expect these groups to change like right before the event. So of course we won't know exactly until event time, of course. But yeah, it's very much looking to be an uphill battle for them, assuming everything stays as is currently.
I think assuming we look at the groups as is, and you could probably end up slotting Moonlight somewhere in the somewhere around the middle, which I actually have to double check the current leaderboards for that. I feel this is gonna be interesting because if I look at the current seating here, Moonlight should be slotted at the fourth. Should be slotted around that fourth spot. Of course, the seating could always be up to could be subject to change. I feel like you look at the groups right here. You take it with a grain of salt. But I will piggyback with what Fern mentioned. I think if you look at just the different amount of times that Hybernova has played, I mean Henlo and Synapse and that kid, you just see them in a variety of different teams. It feels like so as a team together. How will they compete? How will they compete against the rest? I feel like that could be the thing that slightly holds them back. I wouldn't be shocked if they do pull out a few big surprises in Saturday. My likelihood of that, with the way things could play out doesn't seem to be too likely. But I feel like that's going to be a time will tell situation.
Yeah, very very much so.
Do we want to do power rankings?
Yeah. I was gonna say with that, do we have anything else we want to say before we try to find a coordinated list to actually rank all these teams in their own orders?
I think just the last thing to go off of is to remember that all of these teams, if they want to go to the top cut, they have to either get 5-0, 4-1, or maybe even 3-2, depending on how the matches play out. So you have to beat at least 3 of these teams that you're looking at. And again, there's no pushovers. There's maybe like 1 or 2, like 1 probably at the most team that's like an easier win per group. But that still means that there's 3 or 4 other matches you have to win that are going to not be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be this entire tournament's a toss up in the end of the day.
Yeah, I very very much agree. So let's get to this. Let's start discussing who we think our teams are going to be on our power rankings here. So we will send this out over on our socials afterwards, so you can make your own tier list on power rankings as well. For the time being, we do have Honkai in here at the last spot because they are the team projected to make it in through the SendouQ leaderboard. So with this, we're going to make the assumption that they do make it through. So let's start things off with who we think are going to be at the very bottom.
Can I automatically just put Honkai for not accepting their bid yet?
they're gonna get swept by checking in.
Check-in win 0-2. Check-in win
the
0-2.
check-in button.
Yeah, defeated by the check-in button.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be. I feel like what are we denominating here? Top 8, top 4, and then second and first. Okay.
Yeah. So there's 4 teams going in the bottom. So here are my 2 immediate teams that I'm thinking for top 12. Other than Honkai, one is going to be Artifice. They're the rookie team. It makes the most sense. As much as I want to believe in, I love the underdog story. I'm all about underdog stories. I made Reflux. I have to cheer for the underdogs. That's all I got. But it's such a stacked bracket. They got in here by a couple of points. It's one of those things where they're gonna be here for just to make some upsets, be a wild card, but that's basically it. The other team, and this is a thing where this is the only team in the confirmed 10. We didn't really talk about them today. Is Candon. We haven't said anything about Candon because we've been so focused on these other teams. And I think that just speaks volumes to the level that everyone is playing at. And Candon just potentially hasn't been making as many waves as we're expecting from a team in this tournament.
Look, for me, I would say, just looking at let me find Candon recently. I think the question for Candon in this tournament is whether or not Silver is going to be the edge they need to really make a run. They have been playing with Punchy. They've been playing with Ritu a lot prior to Punchy. And Silver is kind of a newer addition. Like you were saying, Candon is an undeniably very high level European team. But like you don't just need to be high level, you have to be top level and then like top level beyond that to really make runs in this tournament. And they have taken losses to teams that would be contenders in this event. Teams like Vanguard, teams like a Synapse Zenith that could pick up. So I would personally put them at around top 8, but I think it's definitely reasonable to say like they just haven't been making enough waves. Right.
I've been trying to figure out my top 8. I think top 12. I think in that top 12 side, Honkai loses the check-in is obviously there, but I feel like you know the two rookie teams. I think Parasail and Artifice. I feel like with they are a huge wild card. I think they could easily prove us wrong, but I think when you look at the if you look at the teams around them, it might be a complete struggle bus for the group. So I wouldn't be. So that's kind of, I'm putting for sure Honkai, supposedly, and then Artifice and Parasail in that top 12. I feel like your toss up between top 8, to round out that slot, to me is gonna be two teams. It's actually, I think Candon will easily secure top 8. It's kind of a toss up. Believe it or not, my toss up is gonna either be Moonlight, believe it or not, or it's gonna be Hypernova on that top 12. That's kind of where I place them there. And I think it's just because of the quality of the teams in play. I'm actually really sold on Healthy Diet Food groups at that top 8 slot.
I respect the Healthy Diet Food groups pick. I don't think Moonlight's gonna flub that hard that they're gonna make top 12. I think I see them getting at least top 8. In my book, Moonlight's gonna make a decent run. But that's just I do agree. Awesome. Parasail, it's one of those. Parasail, I'd love to see them make top 8. I'd love to see them get higher. Just having a rookie in their team again. Me knowing Lemon personally, he's a big bias. But again, getting a win is still gonna end you up in top 12. Like it's which of these teams are going to get multiple wins and actually make a run. So it does make sense to put our rookie teams like Artifice and Parasail in the top 12.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with the Artifice for sure. Parasail, I believe, could be one of those bubble teams that could sneak into top 8. But as of right now, I just don't see the results. So I can agree with top 12 there.
Yeah.
One thing about Parasail.
I wanted to add in, this is ordered, so you guys do need to order it. So like, if Honkai is 12, we got who's 11th?
Sorry. All right, CKK. Make things harder for us like that.
Yeah, make it harder for us. All right,
I don't want to think about that.
I was like, we're already gonna have to hurt enough feelings by putting another team in top 12, let alone rank the teams. We have to tell somebody, yeah, you're getting last.
as part of the 4 here, I like to abstain from this whole from the nut ranking system, if only because we don't know what the groups are yet. But I do agree that
Yeah, it does make it harder because it is like, it's hard
That's
to say
fair.
if a team will get 12th if they end up in a group with another team we think we're gonna get that's gonna get 11th, because obviously
Yep.
one of them's gonna get a free boost.
Okay, top 12 doesn't have to be ordered, but the other ones definitely do.
Oh yeah, we know top 4 is gonna have to be ordered.
That would be more fair.
That's
Yeah.
obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the question though: is what's our last team in top 12? Because I feel like these 3 teams fairly obvious because they're the teams that have the least experience. One of them isn't even checked in yet. But after that point, it is like all of these. I feel these last 9 teams realistically have an argument to make top 4.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about. I mean, true. Like even with HCFG, who I think is like on the will have one of the roughest runs. Like they have made top 4 before. Like it's not like completely outside the realm of possibility. I think it is between Candon and HDFG for the other top 12 spot. So I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you exactly who I think it's going to be. Maybe Candon, but like Silver is probably the best active Stamper player in Europe. That's just my thought. But like, so I would say maybe put them at the top of top 12, but like they also could win sets. Maybe HDFG. They haven't been playing as well recently, so like in my mind, I think HDFG might be the highest top 12 team. But like, it's really hard to say with how close some of these teams are.
Are you guys really
my
sold on?
bid is Candon for top 12.
Are you guys really sold on Hypernova being a top 8 team though?
Yeah.
It's definitely a bias.
I'm not one of those. I'm not one of them.
I think Hypernova is going to surprise us. I'm a Henlo, Synapse, Dat Kid, Lexi enjoyer. I mean, like, what can I say? I mean, I think my issue is that I don't know enough about Candon. And so everything I know about Candon is they are like Vanguard Junior. They are Vanguard, but with less. They are Vanguard, but slightly worse results.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. I look at Candon a lot of the times, and I just see like that secondary Cinderella team that they're just like, oh, there's an opportunity, but then they get gatekept by someone else and they end up just a bit short on where we would think they should end up be.
That's really funny because I am a somewhat believer in Candon, but that's also from results of somewhat around the past. Again, I'm gonna have to use results as my base there. They also finished 3rd in their respective season 6 finale. Of course, it isn't top 4, but it's still really good results at the end of the day. I'm a firm believer that I think Candon I shouldn't say easily has burned me in the past. but I think Candon, I feel like, is a team that is in the top 8 discussion, but then again, it goes back to where do I put then in my top 12? That my thought is it could have been Moonlight, it could have been Hypernova, but if you guys are sold, I'm like, I could see Candon there. I'm just a firm believer that Candon could surprise.
I will concede. I don't think Moonlight is going to flub that hard, make top 12. I think I will concede Hypernova. I could see Candon outplaying Hypernova. But Healthy Daifu groups, I'm putting them at least in the top 8. So yeah, Hypernova or Candon for me for the last spot in top 12.
I don't even know if Healthy Diet Food Groups is going to even get much farther than top 8. Like, if anything, I would say maybe 10, or not 10, but maybe a 7th place I could see from Healthy Diet Food Groups. But I have a hard time personally just trying to think of them, especially with how stacked everyone else is right now. Healthy Diet Food Groups, that they are that Cinderella team. They're one of those teams that could make a run, but when they don't, they just flop. Especially when they play most.
I could see the argument for that. I can see the argument for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I because they're definitely not going to I'm on the same page as Vapor. I see Healthy Diet Food Group's getting 8th, maybe 7th. Like, I don't see it going further than that, because even if they're having a good run, there is just a brick wall at the end of the road. Looking at some of these teams here, you know, they've showed us that they made the upset. They got into top 4 in a previous SendouQ season, but can they do it a second time?
I think that's actually a pretty fair point, but that's also the reason why I put them at that top 8 position. I don't think they were going to make top 4 in it. I don't think Lightning's going to strike twice for a Healthy Diet Food Group.
All right, what are we? Sorry, you finished.
No, I was kind of wrapping up my thoughts. Like, I could see the argument for Healthy Diet Food Groups potentially also going to that top 12 position. I think they're just good enough to be top 8, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere higher than like 6th or 5th.
So it seems like our consensus is either Hypernova or Candon for top 12.
I can see Candon.
I would say Candon as well, personally.
I think that's. I had originally said Candon when I first brought it up, and then everyone fought back on it. But now it seems like it's the pick. Which, I mean, like, honestly, like, I do think Candon could do better than Hypernova, but I am a Hypernova believer, so I'm kind of tempted to put them in the top 8.
It's funny, that's going to be our controversy throughout the night. Candon or Hypernova for top 12. Watch as they both just make top 8, and then I'm like, okay, never mind. I
having the fact that we're struggling
at the bottom of the bracket is kind of funny.
Yeah, the fact that we're struggling over like top 12 so much is just proof of how close this tournament is. Like, it really,
literally,
we could make predictions and like the whole top 8 will be wrong, and it's like, well, we tried. Yeah. I mean, it's just such a stacked event. It's kind of hard to tell how it's going to get out. I mean, like, we're talking about being like, oh yeah, Candon, like one of the best, like really consistent, like one of the best, like real teams in Europe is like maybe top 12. It's like,
no, I don't like, you guys aren't believing in Candon hard enough over there. I'm a Candon believer, but I also see the believers in Hypernova, and I'm not one of them. So.
Well, it's like I'm not like
the margins.
I'm not a Candon disbeliever. There's just too many other teams that I believe in. There's not enough wiggle room right now. And so when I'm trying to find places to put people, Candon just hasn't done it for me recently. And so I like, again, they can prove me wrong. I want them to prove me wrong. I want close sets this weekend, but it's, you know, it's for the sake of having to give them a number, it's going to be 9th place.
But also the fact that we're having the discussion about the difference between 9th and 8th, it really does illustrate, as Fern mentioned, like how I feel like how close this tournament could really get.
Yeah. And looking over at 8th place, I would say this is an easy Healthy Diet Food Group's choice for me.
Easily.
Like, I think Hypernova is going to has a better opportunity to do better than Healthy Diet Food Groups.
I mean, with these groups, probably not. Hypernova's in the death group. In
general, like
I feel this is the one I will easily agree with you, Vapor. I know we hammered it home that, hey, Healthy Diet Food Groups was on a heater. I literally also just said, like, about 5 minutes ago, I don't think Lightning's gonna strike twice in a Cinderella run. It's not the clock's gonna strike the 11th hour for Healthy Diet Food Groups. And I want to, going back to that season 6 finale where they basically finished second in a group that featured PXG, Candon, Moonlight, Vacation, and Honkai, where so it's like nobody expected Healthy Diet Food Groups to really get the 4-1 they got to finish second. I think the teams like Moonlight. I'm still a firm believer in Candon, obviously, but Moonlight and others, I think they are going to be a step above. I don't think I'm with you on this one here, Vapor. I think Healthy Diet Food Groups the Lightning's not going to strike twice for that group.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
From this point on, the top 8 gets really hard because you're looking at, in my mind, the teams likely to get shut out of top 4 are Moonlight and Vanguard. Just looking at who's this other one?
But
That's unanimous.
rough.
That's kind of me. Yeah.
I unfortunately agree. I want to see both of these teams do very well in this event.
Yeah.
I want to see both of them make top 4. But if anything, I can only see one, and that one I would honestly say is Vanguard.
You see, I don't. Me personally, I'm a believer in one of them making top 4. I don't believe enough in Milky Way.
You don't.
I haven't seen enough from Milky Way recently to feel like they're going to beat out both Vanguard and Moonlight. That's just a me thing, though.
Okay.
There was a question. Maybe Moonlight just wants it more. Like they've been getting beat down in these SQ finales like enough. Maybe like I can see them just wanting the win more than like Ice, who has been pulled out of retirement in the last like 6 months. Jared and Q, who are still kind of back from a break. Bran, who is like not a very consistent, not playing the game like all the time. Like I think like these Vanguard is still a relatively young top team. Like I can definitely see both of them getting an upset. I think you still have to respect Milky Way just off of player quality.
I'm not saying I'm not saying Milky Way. For me, it's the recency. It's because, as you said, Ice coming out of retirement, Jared and Q coming back from a long extended break for reasons, and it's like are they still on their A game, and they're going to be on their A game together as that group specifically, versus Vanguard and Moonlight, who have been on that consistent grind with each other, and that's why, like, for me, like it's hard because Vanguard and Moonlight are fairly inconsistent. They do have a lot of results that leave a little bit to be desired, but I think when it comes down to it, I think one of them is going to clutch at the top 4 spot. But genuinely, I can't really decide between the two of them who I think is going to take it.
I can see the argument for not having Milky Way, especially when you factor in recency bias, because it's going to be what shows up the day of. Like, we obviously can't factor in like really previous results, even with reputation in mind. I could see that argument for Milky Way, but then you had to, but then you'd have to go on the record. I think you said Vanguard, if I'm not mistaken. Hammy would be the team to crack top 4. Was that?
It's one of those. I don't know Vanguard well enough as a team. But also, French people are just better at video games.
They kind of are.
So, like,
I mean, yeah.
Straight up, every esport I'm into is just dominated by the French players. So I almost kind of have that bias. Like, as much as I just spent a weekend hanging out with people from Moonlight, like it's competition's tough. I mean, I think like because Vanguard is inconsistent. From what I've been looking at and the results, they have some bad results, but that inconsistency can also mean that they could have a really good day. So they
definitely could have a really good day. They've kind of been farming EU weeklies recently, and like even outs, like they have first golden paddling 320 and first in paddling 319. They have first in a Ghost Up Rush. They're first in 2 Triton Cups in a row. And even outside of those events, like second Barnacle Bash 6, second 4v4 Sundays, third in the Zone 43. Like, have been relatively consistent at making podiums recently. They are very high-level players. I think one of the things they have Reiki in over Warlock and over Erza. I've heard mixed opinions on Reiki, but in my opinion, probably the second or one of the best active Stamper players in Europe. Like, I think you have to say active because Zerazi is always looming on the horizon. But like, I mean, he is a very good player. Like, these are, I mean, Miki, like, whether he's going to be on Ice Blast or he's going to be on Rapid, very, like, one of the best blasters in Europe. You kind of have to respect them a lot. Like, I can definitely see them having a good day, like going off of momentum they have recently and making top 4. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to putting that down.
Yeah, I am just scrolling through results here. and I'm still going like before May here, like start of May. We have podium finishes. Triton Cup 102 into Zone 43. That was a pickup. Paddling pool 319. Swimmer sink was a pickup. Triton Cup 103. Second place in the 4v4 Sundays on a Saturday. First 8-bit Blitz. First Ghost Type Rush Shiny Edition. Like, sure, those might be smaller events, but that still doesn't overtop other events like Golden Paddling Pool 320. Barnacle Bash 6. They got second. This most recent paddling pool yesterday, they got first overall. Like, I just with recency looking at Vanguard, I don't see a way they miss or they flop and get top 8.
Yeah, I fully agree there.
I definitely I can see the case where I think if you look at the name branding for Miku's players, like you have a lot of players that have worked off of like Starburst and others, and but I feel like I can see the case. I can give you the guys the case, especially with the recency thing. I feel like as much as I'd like to say, and also more focused to me here. We all talked about how Momocon went undefeated. Moonlight went undefeated in Momocon. I think that's all. There was also you have to consider the level of competition that Moonlight had played against at that point in time. It should dropping 1 or 2 games almost is expectation. Going undefeated is even better. But who else do you factor in? And we already also know some previous stories. Moonlight obviously the fan favorite. I think when you tune in on Saturday and Moonlight does play, you're gonna get a lot of people hoping that Moonlight makes top 4. But when you compare it against the quality of the other competition amongst the mix, I think we all can definitely agree Moonlight can be there. I can definitely see the case for Vanguard going up to that top 4. Probably not any better than top 4. I don't think they're gonna I don't think they're gonna be cracking first or second. Right. I can see that argument.
Yeah, One thing with current groups, we might get a Silver versus Raiki set, which is going to be fun to watch. For best stamper in France.
Also, what I was going to bring up too is because there's a lot of arguments for Moonlight for me personally. Like there's, like I brought up earlier, they just spent multiple days in person hanging out as a team. Like the morale is going to be at an all-time high. The camaraderie, like their ability to work together and play together. But it's one of those things where they have all of these other aspects of their team that nobody else in the SendouQ final has. But I have to admit that these other aspects aren't something that will make them win against some of these teams.
Right.
Like being able to hanging out together in person, it can really help you out, but not against, some of the world's best.
I mean,
I'll go on the record real quick. I'm a Moonlight believer, just like a lot of the other people around the Splatoon community. You know the chance. I think I heard you at one point during the grand finals there, Hammy, was we're just the Moonlight chance. Everybody wants to see the Moonlight succeed. I want to see this team succeed, but we want to be realistic. I don't. It's going to be It's going to be really tough for them to escape out of group stages.
I mean, for me, Moonlight has like a lot of intangibles. Like they're the fan favorite. I think everybody wants to see them win. Like they have fantastic team mental. They have fantastic team energy. They have cohesion that they built up over like at this point kind of years of playing together. The problem, those intangibles do not include that many wins. They have no online wins since Battle for BIPOC. They just kind of don't have the hardware to compete against like these legacy like gods of the game pickups that we have that are probably going to be contending for top spots. So like it's kind of hard for me to say they're going to beat, like maybe like in an edge case we all want to believe, but I feel like it's hard to say like they're going to beat these teams. Like that's just not something you can say.
Realistically we want half of these teams to win, but the power ranking is look at the facts, who's going to win. I'm putting Moonlight right there, like in the top 8 above. I'm already forgetting the Hypernova and Havidite Food groups. Like that just makes sense. Like that is, it's where they probably belong.
Wait till 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say sixth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were arguing. Some of you are arguing for Milky Way to be top 4, so I don't think they're going to go above Milky Way. I was the one who bargained for Vanguard to be top 4 instead of Milky Way. So.
At one point before bold predictions, I did change it at last one with Metro. I had Milky Way winning the entire thing, but I had to think about it too. Like,
I don't know.
I think that would have been a little too bold, but I think the more bolder pick would have been Metro at that point. Right. But yeah, no, Milky Way I could see that one I wasn't gonna hang on to. I think that could be I could see Milky Way making top 4. At the same time, if you're factoring recency bias, I think top 8 is a pretty fine spot. But I genuinely wouldn't be. I'll say this much: don't be surprised if they make it to top cut.
Yeah,
Milky Way,
Milky Way is just one of those teams where it's like it's been so long since we've seen these players actually play in an event, and especially together. How long has it been since we seen these players play together? So I could see them finishing at number 1, but they could also flop and fall right below Caden.
Yeah. I think the top 6 of this tournament is incredibly close, or at least like really hard to predict. Even if it might not be incredibly close on the day. Like it's kind of like all these players are like just all of them have mostly a laundry list of trophies, and it's like if one of the team has a pop-off day, they could conceivably win the tournament. But like just looking at results, I think there are clear favorites.
Definitely agree with that. And now it comes to the teams that we have all had our own opinions on who's going to win.
Now, I lied earlier. Vapor, I told you FT Win was going to get 4th. They're going to get 3rd.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Right. Sorry, you can go.
I was going to say, like I'm looking at like FT Win versus Vanguard. I do think that they'll have the upper edge. I said the French players are just better, but like the longevity of FT Win, like the legacy and how much they've accomplished over the years, like as much as we've looked a lot at recency bias for a lot of things, I think FT Win do have the recent results, and they also just have the historical results. So I think that ultimately does give them the edge, but I'm not giving them anything else in 3rd.
You think they're gonna lose to Metro or Snails?
Oh, they're gonna lose to Snails. Snails? Listen, my bold prediction was Metro winning, but I also can't I'm not even sure if in good faith I can put Metro as the number 1 here. I think I have to go for Snails for number 1.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, this last bit, as much as talking about how hard it is, I'm putting Snails number 1, Metro number 2, as much as they're my prediction. May they rest in peace, and then FT Win, then Vanguard.
Let me talk about FT1 a little bit. I think you have to talk about the you can talk about the legacy players. I think it might be on Bursty a little bit to play up to we've seen Biscuit and Keo have been winning all kinds of tournaments. I think it's a little bit on Bursty to show that he is at the same level that Keo is still. Although I think part of the thing is that these 3 players have a young player with them. And in my mind, Sam is kind of the next legendary top player. Sam, just some stats. He's won the last 3 in the zones. He's won Black Lotus Cup. He won DivX. He hasn't missed a podium since August of last year. He hasn't missed a top 4 since February of last year. And since he's a young top player, I'm inclined to believe that this is all of his tournaments. But it might be not all. On SendouQ, Sam has zero recorded tournaments outside of top 8. He has never missed a top 8 in his life. He is if you've seen us, he has a montage. If you've seen Simple, he is kind of a generational talent. I think he's insanely good. If he is playing well, and if Keo is playing well for the rest of them, I can see them being a Grands team. But also, I want Metro to win. So,
but hey, if FT Win make third, that's still a podium. The streak will still continue.
True.
So I'm within reason. They get third place. Sam keeps the podiums. FT Win still makes third. I'm never wrong.
And not even just podium, just looking through Sam's results here on SendouQ. The last time they got bronze was November of 24. Early November of 24. So
he hasn't missed a grand since then.
Like, we are going on half a year where Sam has either placed first or second, playing with other legends as well. Like, we're talking about Theo, probably one of the best players we will ever see in the North American scene. Like, we're talking about Bursty, who also has played on the stage as well. I don't remember Roth by name, but they are not.
Biscuit.
That's Biscuit. Okay, but yeah. Biscuit. He is a very strong player as well. So I really don't think they get third. I see a second place in their sight.
I'm being real with y'all. I think depending on the groups, obviously, I expect top two to be. It's going to be Snails and FT Win. It's going to be a similar rematch to season 6. If you're gonna have to pick odd one out, I want to be a believer in Metro. I want them to win the entire thing especially with my bold predictions. The question is, can they face up against Snails or FT Win on whatever bracket they end up placing, assuming they make it to that top 4? I feel like that's gonna be where I'm gonna have a hard time believing in that. But it's gonna ultimately come down to groups placement and bracket placements at the end of the day. But I think Metro probably is. I don't see a world where FT Win finishes worse than second.
See,
can we put two teams in second?
I went first. I went first so I could give you guys the copium before all three gave logical arguments as to why FT Win takes first or second. Now we have something to shift around.
Mm-hmm. But I do think Metro is a really good team. I think all of these teams here are grouped into thirds with each other.
We've kind of agreed that any one of the top 6 could realistically win this entire tournament.
Yeah,
right.
But I think we all agree that they're still objectively one step behind those top 3 teams.
Exactly.
Right. I think anyone in the top 3 could win the tournament. Agreed.
What, you guys don't believe in Artifice?
I want to believe in Artifice.
We're gonna pump the brakes on that one, Hammy.
Yeah.
I do think Artifice can get an upset somewhere. I do think Artifice will can.
I think I do. Okay, they're kind of in the group of death. If they stay in the group of death, I don't know. If they don't, I think they take a SendouQ. But anyway,
who's gonna win it all then?
Okay, but let me talk about Gray's team. Of course, Gray, perennial tournament winning player. Just player wise, okay, it's Gray, probably the best player in Europe. In my mind, one of the 3 best backline players in Europe. Yeti, who has kind of continued to improve and show that he's a good player. He's a really strong mechanical player. And you have the import player, Jordan, the highest X-ranked player of all time, at least in the West. They kind of just ooze firepower. And speaking about Jordan, because I think he is kind of in his comp resurgence. Jordan has played 11 4v4 tournaments in the SendouQ era. How many of those do you think he's won?
7?
Too many.
You're gonna tell us 11.
He's won 10.
Holy.
10 of 11. He has not lost a tournament since June 23rd of last year. He has a 91% win rate in the SendouQ era. He's won 10 of the last 10 tournaments he's played. He is kind of him. And stacking up against the other two or three insane players in this tournament, in this team, it's really hard to say anyone is better than them. I think it might come down to whether or not Yeti is like really a proven top level player enough to take down a core as strong as Metro or a core as strong as FT Win, where everyone on those teams is like, oh, they're one of the best players in the West. But still, it's Snails. Like it's the gray team. Like you look at them and they're like they're making grands. Like so yeah.
But
They're my team to win.
You think Snails?
I think so. Yes. I don't know if I would put a bunch of money on it, but they are in my mind they are just they have won the last 4 tournaments they entered like as a group together. In those tournaments they beat Vanguard, they beat Moonlight, they beat a Keo pickup that was basically FT Win but Ice is playing instead of Versty, and like those are relatively comparable players. Like they beat Hypernova but like with a different player or two. Like I don't know. I think they're kind of they just win tournaments that they enter. Like they have lost to Vanguard, they have cracks, but like when it matters, they just win.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Like I said, when we saw exactly the match you talked about, where Vanguard did take that win in winners finals, and then when it matters, the pickups that Gray plays on, in this case Snails, win. They continue to win those matches. You can load up the Sendo profile for any of those players, and it's number one after number one after number one after number one. And as much as I've been jokingly bashing an FT Win all day. FT Win they're gonna go far. They're gonna go the distance. But this isn't like, oh, Snails sweeps FT Win GG. No, it's gonna be close. They're gonna fight back. But the story at the end of the day is that Snails is going to clutch it out. They always find the way to seal the deal. And they're going to do it here in the Season 7 SendouQ Finals.
Can they win in a single elimination format?
I mean, they... let me pull something up. But
actually, yeah.
Like,
that's gonna be your big thing, because unless SendouQ go... I think in a double elimination format, I would bet on Snails. I think in a single elimination format, mistakes get magnified because one bad mistake and you can find yourself in the cusp of elimination. And just for the record, SendouQ season finales, Sens 3 has ran the group stage in the top cut format. Only one of those tournaments ran double elim. The rest were all single elims.
Right. They do drop sets in tournaments occasionally. I mean, we don't really see a lot of game 7s. In most events, but when they play game 5s, they kind of win them, except for that one time against Vanguard. And it's like, for me, I find it very hard to say this team it's like maybe someone will beat Snails, but it's I don't look at anyone else signed up and I'm like, that team's gonna beat the Gray pickup. So in my mind, it's it's not that they're unbeatable. It's just that they're the favorite.
I got FT Win winning the entire thing. The more I put a lot of it, and a lot of it I think boils down to PXG had what you had Gray, Brand. No, I am blanking on the fourth player. They're gonna slap me silly for this here in a bit. FT Win lost a heartbreaker in that game 7. How much do you think that will give FT Win a lot of fuel to try to win this upcoming one? I think the answer is yes.
For the record, the last player for PXG was Zerzi.
Yeah. Zeris is gonna. All the people that will be like, "How do you forget about Zeris?" is gonna absolutely roast me coming up. But no, in that situation, I can see how Snails can win. Part of me believes that FT Win is gonna come in with this tournament with a lot to prove.
Yeah,
I think they should be the ones to. Personally, I think we're again thin margins. I had FT. I think I'm gonna see FT Win try to win again.
I see no world where Snails does not get top 2.
No.
Yeah, no, there's just not one.
There is no world where Snails does not get top 2 here. Now the question is it going to be Metro or FT Win to go fight them in grands? which one is not going to go up against Snails?
As much as all of us are coping, I think it's safe to say that it is Metro going third place. Like, all of us want Metro to win, but all of us agree that Metro, like, it's impossible to bet against Snails FD win in this scenario.
Yeah.
Looking at these 12 teams, it's that extra step above.
Yeah.
Even looking at the SendouQ scores, like Snails 17, the only team with 1700 power, a whole 50 ahead of Vanguard, who's in second, which, I mean, we did put Vanguard in fourth, but like just like that amount of power is incredible. And then again, FD win, the longevity of the team, and again, getting over 1600 power is nothing to scoff at. It's like, it is just, those are the two top teams in this tournament. I think we can all agree. No matter who we want to win, no matter what copium we have or what players we're friends with in this, it's gonna be FT win. It's gonna be Snails in any regard, and any other team coming in the top two is a very, very welcome upset.
I love to see a fun upset. So wait, so I want to ask a real quick question. Firm believes in Snails. I believe in FT win. What about you, Vapor and Hammy?
I believe
from the beginning.
I believe it's going to be a goddamn coin flip.
Gonna be a coin flip. Ooh.
I think this matchup is going to be a coin flip for grand finals. No matter what, it's going to be the last game. I'm going to call it here. Last game, whether it's game 5 or game 7, I don't know what game 7. Okay. It's going to go to a game 7. It's going to come down to an overtime push. One of these two teams is going to win in that. That's my call right now.
The last time they coin flipped, the Gray pickup won. I'm just saying.
I could see a coin flip leading into a Gray's pickup. This one I will easily concede on who wins. I think FT win, especially after the previous the previous season finale. I think what's gonna end up happening here is FT1 will probably come in with a lot to prove for this season 7 finale, especially after the heartbreak of missing out on that reverse sweep.
Whatever Tails means.
Wait, no, which one's heads, which one's tails?
Coin flip without thinking who was heads or tails. It doesn't accomplish anything.
All right.
I just need to know who's heads, who's tails. I'm flipping it again.
I would say FT win being heads.
Okay,
right.
and then Snails being tails. Let's flip.
Snails.
Yes,
Snails to tails.
Oh, it's
still
Snails.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and also here's the thing too, is Keo, and you asked me what my opinion was. I was the first one to state it right off rip. Yep. I said Snails is going to be number 1, FT win number 2, Metro 3, Vanguard 4. Like like that. As much as we talk about how the top 4 is going to be difficult, that was my top 4 from the beginning.
Yeah.
Without any copium, just me looking at my opinion, like just straight up opinions and what I think is going to happen. That was easy. The top 8, top 12 was hard for me. But
I mean, look at
this one. I will easily concede.
Basically, what I have the same thing. Like
again, it's gonna be close. There's no way that the Snails FT win set doesn't go. It's a best of 7, so it doesn't go to like at least a game 5. You know, it's gonna be a struggle for both teams. But you said that. Maybe because it's a single elimination format, the FD win can take that first game, but it's a best of 7. There's enough time for Snails to adapt and get back in it. And the point that I made earlier is that it's not that, they know how to come back once they start losing and fix their mistakes. It's that they know how to clutch it out when they need to. So if it's a single elimination format, they're going to be fully aware of the stakes and they're going to clutch it out.
I fully agree with all three of you. I just wouldn't be surprised if FT1 does win it all. Although at the end, but I think you're gonna be talking about not heavy favorites. That's being too much emphasis there. I think the favorites I do expect to be Snail. I will say the thing that will help lead into what you're gonna believe here. Gray and Noah when they're in PXG start off 3-0. FT1 would win the next 3 to force the fabled game 7 reverse sweep, an actual reverse sweep almost. but then it was denied in the 11th hour in Game 7. So I feel like we could see the repeat for Gray and Noah. I think though at the same time, don't be surprised if FT1 does pull off does pull it off.
Yeah. And this is also the same exact FT Win team that played in Season 6 together.
Yep.
This is literally the same exact team that is returning. They got second. There's no subs on the field for them between the two. This is literally the exact same team, and I still believe it's going to be a coin flip for first.
One other thing, Gray is back on S-Blast, and we all know he doesn't like S-Blast, but we all know how good his range blaster is, and I don't know, it's just kind of hard to vote against him. As good as I think FD Win is, I wouldn't be astounded if they won the tournament. But yeah, my pick is gonna be Snails every time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and overall, I do think that this is going to be, if not at least very close to what we will see in final rankings. I see no doubt that if you break it down into these tiers, that any of these would change much, if at all.
I think if we look at what I think I can definitely be cool with this setup, and of course with the groups changing, I think it's safe to say these should be tiers at the moment. I will say at least the universal opinion is that the 12th team did lose to check-in from and I'm gonna, whomever that 12th team is, you better reveal yourself here soon. But I think it's gonna be. I feel like these tiers are gonna be pretty close. If the groups do change, I think it's gonna be close to within the same range. I'd imagine. If anything, probably a few teams getting swapped every now and then. But I think that's to be expected.
Yeah, because realistically too, if say for example Honkai, the team that we've heard nothing from, they haven't checked in, they haven't given us a confirmation online. If they don't check in, it's gonna go to the 13th seed in SendouQ Power. So at that point, then it's is a team that's even lower down on the leaderboard going to make enough waves to get all the way to top 8? It ends up being that same story where
it's actually
anybody coming into this competition are going to be strong, but are they going to be able to beat out those top 6, top 8 teams that we kind of listed here?
But I honestly don't know. The only real difference I could see is Milky Way maybe sneaking into top 4 over Vanguard, but I don't really see much of a change between this.
I think the only surprise you're gonna see, I think the only swaps you can justify is your Milky Way, then either Vanguard. Could even worst case, it could be an underperformance from Metro. That's really the only swap. I think somewhere in that top 8, top 12 range, other than the mysterious 12th team especially, there is probably going to be one team that is going to be destined to underperform, which that's usually just the nature of the beast for same day tournaments. That's where I think that's kind of where I think we're only going to see the swaps, is which team just underperforms the most. And you already heard my opinion on which one it could have been in the top 12 slot.
Yeah, is there anything additional y'all have to say about these teams? Anything you want to make as just a general note heading into this event?
Right.
You go.
One quick side note, I think when you talk about we didn't really talk much about the meta. Most of these teams are, I think the winning team is most likely, if it's FT Win or Vanguard or Snails, probably going to be running some variation of Pencil, Splash, Slosher, S-Blast, Stamper. The other side, Metro, we're saying probably third, could win, could get second. They've been running their trademark weapons of like Pencil, Gal and Splash. Well, not really trademark on Splash, but a roller, and not currently not a popular comp. But if you were picking 4 players to run that comp, I think there are very few. There is no one you would pick other than Atomic. Almost no one you would pick other than Zenith and Goss. Like, I kind of think that is they're probably the best at it out of anyone, and teams haven't been fighting that comp a lot recently. So like, if there is any wild card, anyone that I expect to move up 2 tiers based on how we've tiered it, it's probably Metro.
It's actually kind of interesting you mentioned the meta because you also bring up an interesting point. The way anytime I look at a matchup on paper, especially one you end up watching, is how does a team's play style vary against the other? And one team you could see big surprises from one team that could just perform better because the other team just plays a very different style that they're not accustomed to. I think when you see players get familiar with their weapons, I think weapons and where they play in their respective matches, I think that's going to be where your biggest variations are going to be.
Yeah, I do think that the biggest like differences that we could see, like Milky Way sneaking into top 4 over Vanguard, I could definitely see. Like Metro maybe sneaking into grand finals, I could see that being a possibility. But I just don't know if I can confidently say, especially with all the results that Vanguard has had recently, with all of the results that FT win and the Snails pickup team, whatever you want to call it at this point for this event. Like, I don't know if I can confidently move them up.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think it's like their team Metro could definitely win, but I think it makes sense like numbers wise to put them in third, and it makes sense numbers wise to put Vanguard or SB at 4th. I think Vanguard is like just recent results has kind of been winning enough that like they deserve the spot. Yeah.
So with that though, I think we have covered pretty much everything that was on our general topic list here, I think. So teams to look out for, like, it is like those teams to look out for are always going to be those borderline teams, like especially as we noted out earlier. Like I do believe that a lot of this is going to be grouped into 3s. So I think the bottom 3 are going to stay the same. I think the top 3 are going to stay the same, but that middle 3, there is some upset potential there and could maybe sneak in up or down. But I don't know if I can confidently like move them up or down based off what I see recency.
Yeah, I definitely agree where a lot of those upsets are going to come from the lower part of, the bracket of our tier list. We put Candon in 9th place. That very well could be our downfall. There is a possibility that they win a lot more games.
I was a believer over here.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not saying we change the power rankings, but I'm saying
I love Silver,
especially in the lower part of our ranking and like in these brackets is a lot of room for error because every single team here is hungry to win. And a lot of them have a chance at getting a good run. So the power ranking is the best we can do by looking at the numbers and going, okay, this is how we think it's going to go out. But Saturday is going to be a brawl. And that's basically all there is to it.
Listen, Silver may have terrible taste in montage music, but he is disgusting at the game. Like, there's no lie. Like, if Camden like gets upsets, I'm not gonna be surprised. Like, it's a very volatile tournament. It's so stacked. So like, if the predictions blow up, fine. I think by the numbers, it's good.
Yeah. So that has been our power rankings here with broadcasting esports every play. And if you want to make your own power rankings based off the SendouQ Season 7 finale, we will post the link onto our socials. You can find us basically anywhere at Broadcast Beep. So once we send that out, feel free to do the tier list of your own, or CKK could just send it in the wonderful chats for you all. but we will make a post shortly and have y'all reply to us with your predictions for SendouQ Season 7 finale. I would, for this basically on the spot topic here, my weekly award, CKK. Why you have to put me on the spot like this? why you gotta do this to me, man? We basically just brought it up like during the show, being like, hey, what if we do this? You know what? Why not? So let's do it this way. Let's give our weekly reward over to K-Bot, sending over the raid this time around, helping us grow with that viewership. I did see that he was also streaming some commentary VOD review with Magic 8-Ball earlier. So make sure to go check that VOD out of your own. But for now, Keone, Remix Fern, Hammy, I am Vapor with Beep, CKK on the production. Check out our socials. Don't forget to follow us anywhere at Broadcast Beep. Everyone, have a wonderful evening.